This is Bruce Buffer, and this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time for the MMA-Holes!
Mixed martial a-holes. MMA-Holes, 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 MMA-Holes. You like to be a mixed martial a-hole. MMA-Holes, 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 MMA-Holes.
No way.
UFC 242, the first ever fight briefing. For a card we're covering, Habib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier from the Queen Studios of New York, live with the MMA-Holes. What is up, everybody? Welcome. First of all, I'd like to start the show by thanking Mystic Moss for this wonderful setup we have here. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's
Wonderful.
It took me a little time to figure out everything, but I think it's going to be a good show. Welcome. This is the first ever fight briefing that we will be doing. Hopefully we can do this every week that we cover an event, every Thursday. I'm going to get right to it. We have UFC 242 tonight. We're covering the main card, the fighters. I have my pineapple juice. Cheers. Delicious. Pedophilia says JBH got bigger muscles than most of the guys in here. What do you think? Actually, that's my weak arm. That's my strong arm. Yes. Bruce Galixon in the chat says, Jesse, what up? What the fook is that? Says Russian RS. Place strip donations, more stripping. In your dreams, my friend. JBH is swole, though. Welcome, Burnman. Chrome to your dome. Gary Banjo Sandwich in the chat. Birdman says, JBH is swole, though. It's no shame on the men here. I can smell them briefings from here. Yeah, so here's what we're going to do, guys. Let me just give you a super chat. PBR.
Hey, motherfuckers.
Hey,
Waving.
Hey. Finish the line. That Indian dude also coming in. What? We just started. Boss Kogar's creeping in the chat. Val says, holy moly, what can I saw? More walls. Where's Moss? What are you talking about, Jeremy? This is a JBH only show. Thursday nights. We've started a new show. Welcome. So let me give you guys a quick rundown of what's going to go on here. Every Thursday night before we have a fight. Hold on.
Super chat.
That Indian dude.
Looking forward to Islam Makhachev and Mairbek Taisumov on the cards.
Well, it's funny you should mention that Indian dude because that's one of the first fights we're going to be talking about. Actually, the first fight we're talking about is Mairbek versus Taisumov, but we'll get to that. Let me just finish what I'm saying. Before we cover any fights over the weekend, so this weekend we're covering UFC 242, we're going to have fight briefing episodes on every Thursday covering the main card of the event, covering the fighters, the fights. I'll give you guys my picks, which is like a huge thing because I never give you guys my picks until the actual night. So if you tune in to fight briefing on Thursday nights, then you get my picks early. All right. We're also going to do updates of the card. So UFC 242, we do have some updates, some news going around, but let's see how you guys are doing real quick. By the way, this is going to be a really quick show, quick and to the point. That's why it's called Fight Briefing. Quick and to the point. Let's see how you guys are doing in the chat, though. I'm doing
Wonderful.
Thanks for asking. Why not stream on your channel? Because this is the MMA-Holes. Pauls, what are you talking about? This is my channel. The heck kind of question is that? Sounds great, JBH says PBR. I thought by briefing you meant strip down, and this should be cool too. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people thought that. What about pics of tits? Never happening. Vigo the Vampire says JBH is using the MMA-Holes name, bro. JBH is the MMA. Get fucking used to it, Vigo. I know it's so fucking hard for you to wrap your head around it. Get used to it. I've been here for over 2 years now. How do you feel about that? All right. Paul says, LOL drunk. Esco says, Jesse, it's nice to see you heading a stream. Thank you, Esco. Well, I used to. If you were around in the early days, I did used to head streams on my own, but then it's always nice to have a co-host. It's always nice to be doing it with someone, you know? Kind of like sex. It's always nice to have sex with someone instead of having sex by yourself. It's always better. That's what streaming's like. It's just better to have a partner, you know? Jesse the boss, wonderful 2 years, and he's still trying. That's a compliment, says Tosh Bean. Brittany Henderson, laughing my ass off at your eyebrows. You like them? Brittany, I've seen you before. I know you love me. I know you do, because you wouldn't be coming in and making comments if you didn't. Besides, my eyebrows are on fleek right now. Take a look. Take a gander. All right, let's get into it. UFC 242 is coming up this weekend, guys. I'm going to get into the updates and news first before we get into the fights. Just a couple things that I came across over the last day or two. One of them is Khabib's father. Khabib's father says that Khabib will be making 3 to 3.5 times the amount of money that he made during his Conor fight. During the Conor fight, we know he made about $3 million, which means his father's suggesting that he makes about $6 to $7 million for this fight. Makes a little sense. Championship pay. Khabib's always defended his belt. A little weird because he had that post-fight melee, which suspended him for about 11 months. But other than that, I guess it makes sense. That's a little bit of a reach. But this is just what his father's saying. We don't know. There was nobody to really confirm what his pay was going to be, and we're really not going to find out until after the fight is over. But that's what his father's suggesting, is that there's going to be about $6 million, 3 times pay on this one than what he got paid with Conor. I don't see how. He's fighting Dustin Poirier. If you think about him fighting Conor McGregor, I mean, that brought way more numbers. But, you know, that's just coming from a fan's perspective. I mean, his father could be right. So there's that. Davy Ramos, who's also on the main card, who's fighting Islam Makhachev. Someone mentioned Makhachev already. He's dreaming of testing his jiu-jitsu because Makhachev is very proficient in sambo. So he's excited to test his jiu-jitsu there. Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder is the co-main event of the fight tonight. Paul Felder was talking about how he was scared to go into this fight because Barboza, we'll talk about this, don't worry, we'll go into it, but this is just a quick thing. Felder he was just a striker, he says, when he came into the fight with Barboza the first time around. So he's excited to kind of, you know, show what he's got now. But based on what we've seen in his Barboza fight the last time is how we can sort of make our judgments. Chael Sonnen is worrying that Khabib is not going to make weight for UFC 242. I don't know why, but let me explain this to you. Now, we all know that Habib Nurmagomedov has had issues making weight in the past. Chael Sonnen's suggestion is that if Khabib is training in San Jose and he lives in Dagestan, and if he's got any kind of rise like everybody else does, or when something great happens to him, he thinks he doesn't need to work as hard. I disagree. And so does Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier even said that Khabib is the type of fighter who works year-round. He's always in shape. He's always ready to go. Even with the 11-month suspension, like some people were suggesting ring rust, Khabib's always ready to go. So this is one time I would have to disagree with Chael Sonnen. I don't think he's going to come in. I think that's just such a ridiculous thing to talk about. So that's mostly what's in the news right now. Any updates? Also, by the way, UFC 242 Embedded Vlog episode number 4 is out. So if you guys don't pay attention to that, if you want to keep up to date on the, what's going on behind the scenes for the cards and stuff like that, for the pay-per-views and stuff, the UFC page on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to that and you can see the Embedded. Episode 4 is out now. It's pretty good. It's not bad at all. So make sure you guys check that out. Also, GSP has a theory as to why the UFC didn't book the Khabib super fight, but we'll get into that tomorrow for Fuka Friday, so make sure you tune in there. So there's all your updates on UFC 242. Not much, but they did the media day and the stare downs. Oh, I gotta say, Paul Felder and Edson Barboza for the stare downs, awesome. They had a lot of respect for each other, but all the other stare downs kind of seemed like Amy stare downs. Like they were just kind of, like they stared each other down and then they just kind of like, they either shook hands and looked at the camera or whatever. Paul Felder and Barboza, the way they looked at each other, even with the respect, the way they looked at each other was so intense. You know that's going to be a good fight. So I'm really excited for that. But that's all your updates for now. I'm going to get into the card. The fights. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited to see any of the fights tonight? I got a message. Are you guys excited to see any of the fights tonight? I mean, not tonight, on Saturday night. Here, let me choose this over here. Kaboom! Look at that. Look at that. What a shit card, man. Says Russian RS. JBH wants DC versus Jones stare downs. JBH, do a play-by-play of the Bears games tonight, bro. No. Raymond Knight, not really. You're not excited for it. People underestimating jiu-jitsu ace and windmill puncher Davy Ramos. JBH to have a stare down with Paulo Costa. Oh, stop it. Pedophilia says all the fights. PBR Street Gang with the Diamonds. Paul will shock them all. That Indian dude says Islam versus Davy and Taisumov fights as well as Khabib. Loving that. That it's on so early. I agree. Yes, sir. That's probably the best part of this entire thing is that it's on so early. I don't know if Moss is as much a fan. We'll have to ask him. But me personally, I like when things are changed up. I like, sometimes I don't want to go live at the same times all the time for certain fights. So, you know, I like when it's changed up. All right, let's get to this. How about we get to this? Let's start talking about some of the fights, right? Now, on the first fight, let's go through all the fights that are going to be on the card tonight. From the first fight to the last. Mairbek Taisumov versus Diego Ferreira is going to be the first fight of the main card. And then we have Curtis Blaydes versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. Islam Makhachev versus Davy Ramos. Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder. Like I just said, I think this is going to be a good slugfest here. And then we've got Habib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier fighting for the title in the main event. And I got to say, I think I am most excited about the main and co-main events. I don't see why anyone else would not be. I think everyone's pretty much on the same page as me with that. Which fight are you guys more excited for? Let's see. Drunk says, Sean, why Crumpty Dome? This card is so bad. They put the prelims on FX so no one would find it. So here's the thing. The prelims are not on just FX. If you have the ESPN app, you can get the early prelims and the prelims and the main card all in the same place. Let's get into the first fight. I want to get into the first fight of the card. This is a briefing. So we're going to go through and we're going to brief all the cards. I'm going to give you guys my opinion. I'm going to let you know who my fight picks are. You guys let me know who your fight picks are for each fight. And then we will go from there. So let's start with the first fight. Mairbek Taisumov versus Diego Ferreira. So to start off with Taisumov, it's a shame because he's been unable to fight consistently. He's had a lot of fun. He is a lot of fun to watch. So, you know, if you guys have ever seen him fight before, he's extremely fun to watch. He fights out of Tiger Muay Thai. He's a kickboxer. He's really refined in his kickboxing. Diego Ferreira, on the other hand, he has a classic combo of jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, but he's like extremely potent in both. He's a third-degree black belt. Ferreira is extremely dangerous from the top position, both with strikes and with submissions, so that's something that Ferreira would have to be careful of. Now, if we take a look over here, I can show you guys the background on both of these fighters. Mairbek Taisumov is on a 6-fight winning streak here. His pro record of 27-5-0. His last fight was in September 15th to Desmond Green. So this guy, he's doing all right. On a 6-fight win streak, he's doing all right. Now let's head over to Ferreira. On a 4-fight win streak, his pro record is 15-2-0. And his last fight was February 23rd in the UFC to Rustam Khybilov, I believe. Yes, Rustam Khybilov by unanimous decision. Now, if we look at the ways that he's won in his last 4 fights, ground and pound, punches, only 2 of them by unanimous decision, we know that this guy can finish. He has the ability to finish. So the way I'm looking at this fight, after doing research on both of these fighters, and the way I broke them down, I think it's an excellent matchup, 100%. I think it should produce an extremely fun fight. Hopefully a win for either of these lightweights on such a high-profile event will help them break into the rankings, or at least get like a ranked foe next. They both deserve it. Taisumov hasn't lost since 2014, though. And that's something that we should really keep in mind. He generally wins in remarkably violent fashion. As we've seen here, I'll show you over here. Taisumov's wins. And when I say violent fashion, I mean finishes. So let's check Taisumov. Ferreira's likely beaten the better opponents, but, you know, he like when he ended his last fight, Rustam Khybilov. But either way, I think the winner should get a step up. He got a unanimous decision, but what I mean by violent fashion, we've got win by punches in the first round, win by punches in the first round, win by head kick and punches in round 2, round 2, punches round 1. Then we've got a loss to Mitchell Prazeres, and then he goes right back into the wins. Decision, rear naked choke, doctor stoppage, guillotine choke. So this guy is a violent fighter. He's, like I said, he's extremely fun to watch. So ultimately, my pick, I would have to go with Mairbek Taisumov. Let me know who you guys have in the chat between these two. Mairbek Taisumov versus Diego Ferreira. Drunk Savage says Taisumov via KO. This brings me back when JBH had her own show before Moss. Paul's resurrected. Hey, Ann, beat some tomato cans, says Chrome T Dome. I wonder why isn't UFC promoting these other main card fights? So, Russian, that's actually interesting that you say that. I was making a comment a little while back about how the UFC hasn't really promoted the Russian card as much as they promoted some of the other cards. Now, China, that just happened, UFC Shenzhen, they didn't really promote that one as much either. But Russian cards, for some reason, the UFC doesn't take too much initiative on promoting, and I don't know if that's because maybe people aren't really familiar with the fighters on the card, or maybe, I honestly don't know. But I hope that they do. I hope that at some point they start, taking that initiative there. You picked Mairbek because you like chest hair? Yeah, maybe. Taisumov, but should be a good fight. I think it's going to be an excellent fight, Birdman. I agree. Mairbek is the Chechen Mike Tyson, says Pulse Resurrected. Birdman says their promotion is heavily in the Far East. We just aren't exposed to it. King K says it's because the names are hard. D-Rest, no tats is where it's at. King Sid says, I can't wait for Khabib versus Poirier. ATT has been killing it lately. Now, King Sid, some people could disagree, but I do feel that that's going to be an excellent fight to watch, and we'll get to that. Don't worry. We're just on the first fight of the main card right now. Vigo the Vampire says UFC is losing casual fans. I disagree. I think the UFC is gaining casual fans. In fact, I think MMA in general is gaining casual fans. The sport is growing at a pace so quickly that we can't even keep up with it. So I 100% disagree with that. Chrome G Dome says there is no sense to promote a card. You have to wake up early to watch it. I know some people don't like that. I love it. I love when they go to different countries and you have to wake up and see a different card. But, everyone has their own time, I guess. Let's move on to the next fight. I want to run through this card for you guys. The next fight we have coming up, my friends, Curtis Blaydes versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. I love this fight. Now, I know some people disagreed. I saw during our Wednesday show how some people did not like this fight because of who he was fighting. But I love it. Razor Blades versus a Breck. I love it. Let me get into it. Let me explain to you why. Curtis Blaydes is literally stuck in a holding pattern at number 4, right? He's lost his only 2 UFC fights to Francis Ngannou, who is a top contender, right? Razor Blades, as you like to call him. He recently got back into the win column. Oh shit, I didn't change the picks. Jesus. Look at that. See how quick I can do that? Man, like a freaking pro over here. Thanks to my boo in the other room for helping me out there. Razor Blades versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. He recently did get back into the win column at the expense of Justin Willis. How many of you guys saw that fight? Blaydes versus Willis. It was at UFC Fight Night 148 back in March. We did cover that fight, and I thought that was an excellent win for Blaydes. Abdurakhimov, he will have some home court advantage, right? This is sort of, it kind of puts the fighter at an advantage here. So it's really tough to make out the paths to victory. He would be considered the wrestler, and Blaydes would be considered the striker in this situation, but don't mistake that for thinking that Blaydes can be out-wrestled. I don't think that Abdurakhimov has the strength to out-wrestle Curtis Blaydes. Nor does he have the type of consistent knockout power to really threaten him. I mean, if you really think about it, Blaydes is a very big guy that he's fighting, and even if this is a very well-rounded fighter that he's taking on. So I think that Abdurakhimov is going to need to slow the fight down. He's going to need to turn it into a slug, and that's something that he is good at. We've seen that that's something that he's good at, but at the same time, I still don't think that that's enough to stop Blaydes. Now, let me show you their Tapology records over here, and I'll explain to you why. Move over here to Curtis Blaydes versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. Curtis Blaydes is on a 3-fight winning streak over here. His pro record is 11-2-0. Now let's see. His last win was to Justin Willis, if I remember correctly. Yes, Justin Willis, by unanimous decision. Now, like I said, he did take 2 losses to Francis Ngannou, who is a top contender. Keep that in mind. It's not like he took a loss to just any Joe Schmo, heavyweight off the street. He took a loss to Francis Ngannou. Like that, if that doesn't tell you anything, at least he took the fight. And then he's got Alistair Overeem, a win over Alistair Overeem, and it's a finish in elbows. Mark Hunt, he got a win by unanimous decision. Alexei Olenek, another great fighter. So doctor stoppage, unanimous decision, elbows, and then again that second loss to Francis Ngannou by doctor stoppage. Now remember, I don't know if it was an eye poke or there. It did say eye on there, but I'm not entirely. I don't remember which stoppage that was, but it was a doctor stoppage with regard to his eye. Regardless, Curtis Blaydes is, this guy is not someone to be taken lightly. And I think that his opponent, oh shit, look at this. Everything shuts down. Look at that. Everything on OBS. There we go. Got everything back up. That was really bizarre. I finally got to experience what Moss experienced. Everything on the computer just closed out. I don't think that he should be taken lightly, and I think that Abdurakhimov, he should take Blaydes as a threat. He should take him very, very seriously. If we go over to Abdurakhimov's Tapology over here, he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's 24-0 right now. His last fight was to Marcin Tybura, I believe, by punches. Yes, Marcin Tybura by punches, a finish. And then he had a unanimous decision win over Andrei Arlovski, another tough opponent. Chase Sherman, he won by punches. Then he, of course, lost to Derek Lewis, so that's where his 3-fight win streak came from. But look who else he won to. Walt Harris, Anthony Hamilton, both by decision. Kenny Garner, Neil Grove, and Jerry Otto. But these were not UFC fights right here. So if we're going just based off UFC fights, Anthony Hamilton, Walt Harris, Chase Sherman, Andrei Arlovski, and Marcin Tybura. So still an excellent fighter that we've got here. He last fought in April, so it's not like he's got any ring rust. He's probably still been, keeping himself in shape and healthy and ready to go. But I honestly, if for a bottom line, if I were to give you the bottom line here, while Abdurakhimov will have the home court advantage, I think it's really tough to make out the path to victory. So my pick is going to be Curtis Blaydes on this one. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Do you have Shamil Abdurakhimov or Curtis Blaydes? Benjamin Elam says he has a very good skill set. Heavy microgrow. What was that on his shoulder? What was what on whose shoulder? Birdman says Abdurakhimov has some bad losses and no wins nearly as good as Blaydes. I agree. Pedophilia is your boo in the other room watching tranny porn. Probably. Michael Sloan says, are you covering the early prelims? I got Blaydes for the win. Yes, I believe we are. Drunk Savage says Blaydes via unanimous decision. Double KO bro says Vigo. Alex Lovell says hello holes. Shannon Stewart says Blaydes. AP says I want to lick Jess's armpits. No thank you. Zoltan Boze says I have fans. Fall asleep. D-Rest, the guy with the wool coat on. Blaydes. Here we go. We got them coming in. A lot of people picking Curtis Blaydes here, and I do agree. Blaydes wins this by KO. Dustin's going to win. Don't worry. We'll get to that, Benjamin. Chrome to Dome says me and Moss have the same porn watch history. All right, guys. Now, before I get to anything else, I have an announcement to make.
I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes.
We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes.
I've got 50 likes.
You've got 50 likes. We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes.
I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes.
We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes.
The dislikes can choke on a dick.
That's right. The dislikes can choke on a dick. Make sure you guys drop that like. 119 people watching.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Welcome to Fight Briefing, the first ever fight briefing show where we cover the fights we will be watching this weekend, and that is UFC 242. We're covering the main card here. Welcome, Harry. Thank you. I appreciate it. So we just covered Curtis Blaydes versus Shamil Abdurakhimov and Mairbek Taisumov, the first fight of the card versus Carlos Diego Ferreira. But the next fight... and I'm excited for this one. And I think PBR donated or something just recently and said he's excited for this one. So allow me to show you because I can't blame you. I think, and I did a lot of research on this fight, and I gotta tell you, I'm excited. I am fucking excited. Let me pull it up here for you guys. Here we go. Kapoor. Islam Makhachev versus Davy Ramos. How many of you guys, with the ones in the chat, aside from the main card and co-main event, of anything else on this card, are excited for Makhachev? We've seen him fight before, and I have to be honest, of the research that I've done of all of these fights, this is probably going to be one of the most exciting fights, and I will be extremely disappointed if I'm wrong. I don't even know what I'll do. I'll do something if I'm wrong, because I think this is going to be a slugfest. This is going to be great, this fight. I got to change the pick. Hold on. I'll get used to this, guys. Don't worry. At some point, it'll become so natural to me that I'll always be changing the pick. Islam Makhachev versus Davy Ramos. That Indian dude's excited. Shannon Stewart. James MMA is not excited for this one. Never seen him fight. Buffalo Crayons. We'll wait till you do this weekend. Drunk Savage, yes. King K, yes. Zoltan Boze says 22 more subs to release the Dragons. Guys, do you think that we can release
Dragon.
tonight? 22 more subs, and we release the Dragons.
Wonderful.
Okay. Maybe tonight. Fight of the night says King K. You will eat your hat, even though I don't know what that means, says Lee W. Not happening tonight. The subscribers will come. UFC 242, they will come. How good is JBH Future and at co-star? No, Eduardo. As much as I appreciate your compliment, I will always be the MMA-Holes co-star. And Mystic Moss will always be the buddy on my side. Always. I will never leave Mystic Moss for any other organization. This is not happening. If they don't take us both, then they don't take us at all. That's just the way it is. All right. Let's talk about this next fight. We've got Islam Makhachev versus Davy Ramos. And we've got a subscriber. Look at this, guys. Scott. Welcome, Scott. Everyone say, welcome, Scott, to the MMA-Holes. Welcome, Scott. Now let's talk about these frickin' fights. Islam Makhachev versus Davy Ramos. Makhachev. Now, how many of you, it's not hard to figure out. Surprise, surprise. Makhachev is a killer wrestler. By now, if you see anyone from Dagestan as a fighter's hometown, you should pretty much assume that the guy is an anaconda when it comes to grappling. That's all I have to say about Makhachev. There's not much more to say about him. He's good. He's on a 5-fight winning streak right now. His record is 17-1-0. The guy is just good. He is good, and I am excited to see him fight. When it comes to Ramos, I think it's going to be interesting. Here, let me move it over for you guys. I think it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive Makhachev will be with his wrestling, given that Ramos is an accomplished BJJ artist. In fact, he's put together his current winning streak by forcing fights to the mat. He's also a hittable striker, so this might be one of those rare instances where Makhachev will prefer to keep it standing, which is why I believe it's going to be entertaining. Makhachev, a fighter who loves to take it to the ground, a fighter who is a fucking excellent wrestler, but also very well-rounded and does have very good striking, might actually keep this one on the feet, which is extremely interesting to me, because keeping it on the feet with Ramos, who's on a 4-fight win streak right now, his last fight, he won to Austin Hubbard, but it was by unanimous decision. They both won by unanimous decision in the last fights. I find this very interesting. It's like if you were to put, like what we saw with Khabib versus Al Iaquinta. Khabib could have easily taken Iaquinta to the ground and just mauled him all 5 rounds. He didn't do that. Leading into the 3rd and 4th round, Khabib started hitting him with those jabs, hitting Al Iaquinta with those jabs, and he was literally basically like honing his striking on the feet. You see a wrestler, a grappler, a jiu-jitsu artist, anyone like that, anyone who's good on the ground, honing their skill on the feet, it's always interesting to watch. 100%. So, bottom line, I think that with grapplers of this caliber, since they're both grapplers, it's far more likely that this will be a marathon than a sprint. While both fighters have racked up more finishes than decisions, lately, I think expect extended grappling exchanges en route to a decision finish. So it will be decision, but ultimately my pick is going to have to be Islam Makhachev. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Buffalo Crayons says, this girl done her research. That's right. Gotta love it. Can you scroll down, please? Scroll down where? Oh, you want me to scroll down on, here. Scroll down on this. You want to see this? His record, 17-1-0 is Makhachev. 10-2-0 is Davy Ramos. What else do you want to see here? You want to see the tail of the tape? 5'10", 5'6", 5'10", 5'6". That's crazy, guys. A 4-inch height. Now, that doesn't always mean it's an advantage because you're the same height on the ground. You know? You're the same height on the ground, so that doesn't always mean there's an advantage. This is a 155-pound fight. What else would you like to see here? 18% KO, TKO, submission. Now, look at this. Get a load of this. Ramos. Uh-oh. Froze on me here. Ramos has a higher percentage submission rate than Makhachev, but I just don't feel that he has what it takes to take on the pressure of Makhachev. I really don't believe so. Now, I could be wrong, but this is my pick. I pick Makhachev for the win here. You're welcome, Medgus guy. Anytime you want me to scroll down, just let me know. If you want to see some stats or anything like that, I'll be more than happy to show you. Supercross says, I'm new to this channel. You're going to be calling the fights live on Saturday. Yes, we will be live on Saturday for the early prelims. It'll be 10 a.m. Eastern time, I believe the early prelims start, and we'll be doing the whole card. So we're live every UFC event, and we don't show the fights, but we do the commentary and we call the fights and do the reactions and stuff. Right pick, JBH. That's right. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. I might have missed some of your picks here. D-Rest says Macarena. Jason Block says, sup, people? Bitya, Joey Buttafuoco for the win. Dalton says Islam also has great striking too. I could totally see him become a champ in a few years. I agree with you. Why oh why Zabit isn't on this card is such a bummer. I agree. I love Zabist. Islam Batgirl was clearly Moss's big fan because she's not here tonight. Maybe. Yeah, Moss has a lot of fans. I not so much for me when it comes to the donators. They don't care about leaving their 2 cents in. Get it? No pun intended. All right. Let's move on to the next fight here. Look I remember to scroll. Here we go. How many of you, drop the ones in the chat right now, are excited to see Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder? I am so excited to see this fight. I am stoked. And seeing that face-off was all I needed. That was all I needed. I mean, I knew that I was going to be excited for this fight, but seeing the face-off between those two, knowing that there was no beef, they had respect between each other, but there was still a very intense feeling between them because Felder has something to prove to himself, and he has something to prove to his fans, and I cannot fucking wait. Joan Savage, we have seen it already, but this one's going to be good. The Edson fight is a hard fight. Edson's chin is not good. I know Edson won the first fight, but still, you really think so, Benjamin? Eduardo's excited. Jim Wismer, D-Rest, Flat Earth Deacon, Post Resurrected. Ben Emerton, Shannon Stewart, Boss Kogar's got Juan. Glenn Allen, Flat Earth Deacon, Hey Mikey. Zoltan Boze says Felder has improved more, so should be a good fight. And this is what I'm going to get to. Thank you, Zoltan, for bringing that up. So this is kind of what I had mentioned previously. Felder said during the media scrum that when he went into his fight with Barboza the first time around, he was just a striker. That sort of sums up what he says. And that now he has more skill to show in different areas. And I think that is going to be a huge advantage for Felder. But let me just tell you what I think about the fights first before I give you my pick here. So we've got... I forgot. I gotta go back here. Gotta go back again. Or is it back in time? Or whatever it is. Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder. Wah, wah, wah. Now, let's start with Barboza. At this point, Edson Barboza is literally one of the most well-defined fighters in MMA. And for better or worse, similar to Cerrone, he's faced basically everyone relevant in his generation. His strengths and flaws have become abundantly clear in the process. Now, that isn't to say that Barboza is easy to deal with, but in recent times or lately, he's almost become a bit of an IQ test to other fighters. He was nearly unbeatable in this sort of fight, nearly helpless in another sort of fight. So beating him comes down to more of a broad strategy, right, than to narrow tactics. And Felder has to keep that in mind. Barboza, his personal highlight reel is basically a mixtape of extremely stunning knockouts that we've seen. His spinning wheel kick that stifled Terry Edom, a flying knee nearly decapitated Beneil Dariush, and the first example was a freaking knockout of the year. So we have to keep that in mind. Now, we also have to keep another thing in mind. Barboza's on a one-fight losing streak. He lost to Justin Gaethje. Unfortunate, but he did lose to Justin Gaethje by a right hook in round 1. 2 minutes and 30 seconds into round 1, he lost to Gaethje by a right hook. He's still 27-0 though. So do not underestimate this man. Now, I see Medgas guy saying he's become a gatekeeper of sorts and Felder must be very careful. I could agree and disagree with you on that. Let me just get to Felder first. Felder. He's got a huge opportunity here, guys. He's got a huge opportunity to become a fringe title contender. He's well respected, but he's yet to notch a signature UFC victory in 12 appearances. He also comes in to the match having won 4 straight at 155 pounds, which is, I mean, if you think about it, it's not the worst thing in the world. if Barboza doesn't step into him, which I have a feeling he will, but if he doesn't, Felder's game on the outside is perfectly serviceable. Perfect. He's a damaging kicker on the outside. He isn't bad with his hands. We've seen him. He's an excellent striker. But his more exploited flaws tend to be more mental than technical, and that's a problem. Now, we've seen him with his kicks. He's got excellent kicking, excellent striking. I feel that this is going to be something that Felder's really going to have to look out for, and we were watching something where Felder was sort of looking back on his fight with Barboza and seeing where he went wrong. And one of the things that he went wrong with was when Barboza was striking, Felder was sort of like he would go in, he would strike, and he would step back. And that showed a vulnerability of Felder's that Barboza spotted. And you never want to show that vulnerability with Barboza because we've seen him. He's an animal. He's a fucking animal. And if he sees that vulnerability, he's going to capitalize on it. And that was Felder's mistake in the first round. That's not to say that Felder's going to show that again. I think he's fully aware of that, and he's not going to show that again. But let's look at his topology over here. I want to show you guys. So Felder's 16-4-0. Like I said, he's on a one-fight winning streak, and the last fight was to James Vick, I think. Let's look over here. Here we go. Paul Felder. I think it was to James Vick was the last fight we saw him. Yeah, James Vick by unanimous decision. Now, he took a loss to Mike Perry, which is, really unfortunate. But then he won a ground and pound against Charles Oliveira, a ground and pound Stevie Ray, ground and elbows and punches Alex Ritchie. There was a doctor stoppage loss before that, and then another unanimous decision, Josh Berkman and Darren Cruikshank by rear naked choke. So he's a finisher, Paul Felder. If he can stay out of those losses, he's a finisher. Edson Barboza, on the other hand, like I said, he did lose to Justin Gaethje. But before that, he was fighting Daniel Hooker, took a win by body punches. Then 2 losses. Kevin Lee, he took a loss to. Now, Kevin Lee is a pretty good fighter, but as we've seen him late, he hasn't been on the best run. But regardless, it's still a horrible loss for Barboza. Habib Nurmagomedov, understandable. The guy's a freaking champion. He's a beast. He's a wrestler. He will keep you on the ground and wear you out until you have nothing left in you. Then he took a win to Beneil Dariush, which we talked about a little bit. The flying knee literally decapitated Beneil Dariush. Gilbert Melendez and Anthony Pettis. Some good wins that he took over here, but also some horrible losses as well. But ultimately, I would have to say this. I don't expect this to go to the mat. Felder isn't a good enough wrestler to bring down Barboza, and Barboza has absolutely no desire to grapple. We all know this.
Proper 12!
Oh! Mike lives low!
Proper Irish whiskey!
Proper 12!
Yes! Proper 12!
Cheers, Mikey.
Jesse, you are the best.
Yes!
You keep getting better each stream.
Thank you, Mikey.
You, Jesse. I respect you more each stream. Again, think your opinions are important and I've learned a lot from you. Keep up the great work.
Aw, you're the best, Mikey. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I don't have any proper 12 on me, but I have pineapple juice. So, cheers, Mikey. I really appreciate that. Thanks, Mikey. Well, I'll give you a little more to learn on this one, on Paul Felder and Edson Barboza. Like I said, I don't expect it to go to the mat. I don't think that Felder's a good enough wrestler. I don't think Barboza has any interest in bringing it to a grapple. We've seen it before. Barboza he's a striker, man. He's got the power behind the punches. And there aren't many guys that can hang with Barboza in a pure kickboxing battle. Let me just keep that there. Even at 34 years old, like, he's one of the division's best athletes that we've seen. At any moment when he's standing is one where a finish can happen, and I want everyone to keep that in mind. Now, at first glance, and I'll show you here, Barboza seems like an easy pick in a striker's matchup. But he's also a fighter that tends to start wilting when his opponents don't back down. And Felder is a guy that will pressure the hell out of him. with that being said, I just don't think that he will put enough pressure that's needed in order to take advantage over Barboza. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to disagree with me here because this is the rematch, but my ultimate pick, I'm going to have to go with Edson Barboza on this one. Yes. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Edson Barboza or Paul Felder. Unless he is fighting Gaethje, he does good on the feet, says Chrome. Pros Reloaded says LOL. Dark Dimension says yup. Benjamin Elam, Edson is faster, but Paul is more powerful. David Flores Jr. says all my ninjas. East Coast Lifestyle. Hey Jess. Hey East Coast. How's it going? Barboza has had tough luck, and when he commits, he is crazy technical. And this is what I was saying. Sometimes I think where Felder's exploited is it's more mental than technical. And Barboza, on the other hand, like he has had some shortcomings in his recent fights, but those shortcomings aren't enough to amount to. Would I like to see Felder win? Yes. I don't know if he can put that kind of pressure on Barboza throughout that fight, and I think the logical pick would be Barboza. Let's see. If Felder stands, he'll lose. What's the betting line on this fight? That's a good question. Why don't we head over to BetDSI, Medgas guy? Let's head over to BetDSI. By the way, link in the description below if you guys would like to make any bets on the fights this weekend, UFC 242. Head over to BetDSI with the link in the description below. Promo code MMA-Hole, all one word, and you get up to 100% bonus match, as well as $25 as a welcome bonus. Also, if you have any ailments that you would like to cure, anxiety, physical ailments, anything like that, depression, head over to Timeless CBD, link in the description. Use promo code MMA-Hole and get up to 20% off of your entire order. Lastly, if you have a beard or if you want a beard as swole as Mystic Moss's, promo code MMA-Hole, link in the description to Real Bearded Men. Get 15% off of your entire order. All right, now let's look at this real quick. Someone was asking what the betting odds were on this, and this is at BetDSI. Like I said, link in the description. And it looks to me like Edson Barboza is the favorite by a minus 156. Felder is the under at plus 130. And I think rightfully so. I don't think that's an unfair pick. I really don't. I don't know if I would put money on this fight because it could ultimately go either way, but I think the odds are fair. I do agree with the odds here. I think that they're very fair. So let me know what you guys think in the chat. Felder all day. JBH, you don't know. JBH don't know. See, she don't know. That's right, David. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a good fight between two fighters, but Edson Barboza got this, but you never know. I agree. Edson Barboza does got this. Yo, Jesse, has Moss shown you the Insta DM? I gave you some good stats to use on your side on fight day. He did show me some Insta DMs, but I'm not sure if I got any stats yet. Birdman says the odds for the entire card kind of suck. Luke Salikov plus 100 and Ramos plus 300. Henry Solstice putting it all on Khabib. Buffalo Crayon says I got nobody. What time did the fight start in Chicago? Lil Nuts. They start at 10 a.m. Eastern time over here in New York, so figure out what time it is between New York and Chicago, and I'm sure you can figure it out. Let's see. Got Paul, the main and co-main are too motherfucking close. That is a good point. And like I said, I could be wrong. Felder could come back. He does look good. He looks good. What I've seen so far, he looks good. But I'm still going to have to go Barboza on this one. And speaking of the main event, thank you for bringing that up. Why don't we just get right to it? Habib Nurmagomedov. Anyone want to put in a Khabib time donation? Link in the description below. Streamlabs. The denomination is there. I think it's $27 now. $27 in Streamlabs. And you can send in a Khabib time donation. Now, you guys already know where I'm going to go with this one. But I will still be fair. And I will still...
I want to ask you guys, what time is it?
Yes! Dude, perfect timing! Perfect fucking timing! Yeah!
Hey, I want to ask you guys, what time is it?
It's Khabib time! Yeah! Yeah!
Hey, I want to ask you guys, what time is it?
It's that time again.
That's right, life on autopilot. It's that time again. And perfect fucking timing, man. Perfect timing. If you guys want to donate, link in the description below, Streamlabs. There's all sorts of different songs and donations, but that is my favorite one, Khabib time. My favorite one by far, and I will tell you why. Now, I made sure not to make this briefing biased because you all know I am hard on Khabib. But in fairness to Dustin Poirier, I made a very unbiased briefing, so I will give it to you guys. But if you want to give me another Khabib time, link in the description, Streamlabs, it's 27, the best. That made me feel so good. What did I just do here? Oh, shit. Oh, shite. Oh, shite. I just lost our fighters. Hold on, guys. Give me a second. I knew something was going to go wrong. Something told me. All right. Let's just get this done real quick. Here we go. UFC 242. Well, that's a problem. I just lost our fighters up here in the little corner because I'm an idiot. And I got a little too excited about the Khabib time donation. And now they're not there. So. All right. Khabib versus... Here we go. Oh, there he is. There's one. There he is. There they are. Look at that. Look at that. Psst. Don't question me. I just got a little too excited by Khabib time. Anyways, as I was saying, link in the description to Streamlabs. If you would like to donate, any of your songs or denominations are all listed down below based on how much you donate. Also, if you want to join us and support the show, Patreon. There's a link to Patreon down below that we can you can join a private Discord and talk to us off air. And all right, let's get into Khabib versus Poirier already. Let's just get into it. You guys want to just get into it? Yeah, it is like magic. Let's just get into it. Here we go. Ah, fuck these guys. Fuck these guys. Let's get into Khabib time, right? Khabib versus Dustin Poirier. Now, like I said, I made this very unbiased. But Khabib is on a 27-fight win streak, as we all know. He's 27-0, an undefeated fighter. His last fight was to none other than Conor McGregor, who he fucking tapped like a bitch. Tapped like a bitch. Go Khabib. Go Khabib. Now, some people have the argument that Conor was winning the first round or whatever, but regardless, he still tapped like a bitch. So, go the Eagle. Now it almost seems like a waste of time to break down Nurmagomedov, and I said this on Not the MMA-Holes, that it seems like a waste of time to break down his skills simply because everybody knows what he's coming into the octagon to do. This is the Eagle, guys. This is Habib Nurmagomedov. He's become a decent, not great striker, but his excellent comes in his grappling. Now, if we're going to talk about his striking for a minute, like I mentioned before, him versus Al Iaquinta, he was really putting himself on the feet there, toying with Al Iaquinta a lot. He comes into every fight with the same plan. He takes down his opponent and he beats them up en route to a TKO, a decision, or a submission if it becomes available to him. His stand-up game has improved, like I said, with Al Iaquinta. He had once deployed like a wild style of striking, but now he's got a more boxing-heavy attack, which is great for him. And then, like I mentioned, if you go back to Khabib versus Al Iaquinta, you can see that. He was toying with Al a lot, with numerous jabs leading into the third and fourth rounds of that fight. In the first and second round, it was more of the grappling, a few strikes here and there. Iaquinta was kind of showing off his style, and I think Khabib had a little bit of respect to Iaquinta for taking a short notice fight when Iaquinta only had a camp for a 3-round fight. So, that being said, I do think Khabib had a little bit of respect for Iaquinta, but he was really keeping him on his feet, trying to give him that chance on the feet, right? But Khabib is still somewhat robotic on the feet. We all know this. And as Michael Jackson or Conor McGregor showed before they lost to him on the ground, he is hittable. Does he have a good chin? Arguable. I think he does. But he is hittable. Even so, due to the power that he packs in his punches, and he does pack a lot of power, especially in those jabs, outright trading with him, I think could be a mistake. We knew this when we saw him fight McGregor. He knocked McGregor down by a right hand, and I think that was in like the first round or the second round. He knocked McGregor down by right hand, and that shows that there is power there. I mean, how many times have you seen McGregor get wobbled like that? When it comes to Poirier, who is on a 5-fight winning streak right now, and his last fight was Max Holloway, we did cover that fight. He pieced up Holloway's face, completely pieced it up, and that was in April. He pieced up his face. Poirier is 25-5-0. He does have 1 no contest on his record. But him, on the other hand, he's a little more unpredictable than Khabib. Khabib, we can expect that he's going to try and bring him to the ground and finish him in some sort of way. Poirier is a little more unpredictable in that. Earlier in Poirier's career, he was a go-for-broke fighter in all areas. All areas. A brawler. He would hunt for submissions. He was happy to take the fight to any area, on the feet, on the ground, against the cage. It didn't matter. He was just happy to take the fight anywhere. He was very well-rounded, or at least that's how he carried himself, was a well-rounded fighter. But lately, he has developed one of the best strikers in the lightweight division, which is why I think this is such a good fight. Now, originally, I wasn't as excited for this fight, but I am now. I'm extremely excited because he has rounded himself out to be an extremely great striker. I think that he has built an extremely dangerous game. I think that he's built the game around insane levels of pressure boxing and a scary tendency to sense his opponent, like beginning to wilt, which allows him to suddenly turn up the fight and turn up the heat and push for the finish. With that being said, the issue with that fight style is that he tends to take a lot of punishment before his victories. He's currently, like I said, on a win streak, but he took some serious shots from 4 of those opponents before winning. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. When you factor in who those opponents were, you've got Anthony Pettis, Eddie Alvarez, Max Holloway, Justin Gaethje. Those fighters, they're not fighters to be taken lightly. Those are some serious fucking opponents that he has there. And even though he pieced up a lot of those opponents, take Max Holloway, for example, he did take a lot of punishment from them. So that becomes a little bit worrying. Don't forget that he's also been knocked out cleanly twice by McGregor and Michael Johnson. He was knocked out by. So for now, Poirier seems to be able to weather the punishment well, but the question is, does he have that chin on him? So bottom line, basically, I can see this fight playing out in 2 ways, and both on a simple issue. Is Khabib's cardio good enough for him to, I believe that his cardio is good enough to simply take Poirier down and then punish him to a 5-round decision, or submit him or do some sort of finish there on the ground. I just can't see Khabib finishing Poirier early on by striking, even though he does have the power. He could definitely hurt him badly, like I had mentioned in the first few rounds. I don't know if he can actually knock him out. I mean, I said anything is possible. We've seen Poirier knocked out twice before. I just don't think that Khabib could really knock out Poirier, and I would be so surprised if he does. But I see it going that way. Poirier isn't the type to wilt, right, and fall on his sword, like Edson Barboza did in his fight with Khabib. Right, we saw that. But that means Khabib is extremely likely to throw everything that he's got in an attempt to finish Poirier. And for me, I've got a sneaky feeling that it's going to lead to a downfall. 100%. So honestly, if Khabib gets tired at all, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think we'll see it happen. But if he gets tired at all, come the 4th and 5th rounds, then Poirier is still going to be there at the current time. We've seen Poirier's cardio. He's good. I don't think that there's anyone better at spotting a hurt or tired opponent and being able to turn up the heat at just the right moment than Dustin Poirier. And that's why I think this could be an extremely dangerous fight for both of them. I could be proven wrong here. Like I said, he's an excellent fighter. He's truly a great fighter. Nobody has ever solved the riddle of Khabib in over a decade, right? And I don't think Poirier is that guy either. And I know a lot of you probably disagree with me. I think there is someone out there who can solve the riddle of Khabib. But Poirier, as good as he's going to be, and he's going to put up a fucking fight, it is going to be a long night for both of them. And Poirier is going to do some damage. I know it. But I don't think Poirier is the one to solve that riddle. So ultimately, I would have to pick Khabib for this win. Not just a biased one. I was fair. But I do have to pick Khabib for the win on this one. Let me know who you guys have in the chat. Khabib or Dustin Poirier? Medgus guy says, I'd like to see Poirier do a flying knee to Khabib's dome like Jorge Masvidal? Drunk Cypher says, it's going to be a long night for Dustin if he gets put up against the cage. Khabib wins in the round 2, says Flat Earth Deacon. Is Khabib going to get aspirin, says John Doe. T. Ferg is the one, says Brian Blaydes. Kanye Pest, all Khabib will do is wrestle. LOL, he's no threat on the feet. Well, that goes back to what I was saying. His striking has improved a lot, and we know he has power behind his punches, so I think he can be a threat. Like I said, Poirier was knocked out twice by Michael Johnson and by McGregor. Khabib beat McGregor, and I know a lot of you guys don't like MMA math, but if we were to really go here, Khabib beat McGregor. McGregor knocked out Dustin Poirier. I mean, I hate MMA math too. I hate it. But if we're really going to go here, the question is, does he really have the chin to take on the power of Khabib's punches? Khabib was able to wobble Conor, and we saw him fall to the ground in that fight. So I'm not saying Khabib's going to knock out Dustin Poirier. I'm saying that he does have the power behind his striking if he decides to keep it on the feet, which I don't think he'll do. That would be a dangerous decision for him. But it would be if Dustin puts his back to the cage at any moment, he's fucked. You know, so I wouldn't underestimate Khabib on striking. I really wouldn't. I think maybe 10 years ago you could have underestimated him, but not now. Now I would definitely put money on both. I think that he's becoming a more well-rounded fighter. Yes, he prevails on the ground, but he's becoming a lot more well-rounded. The MMA says, do it for me. I agree, but Dustin is a live dog. He is. He's going to put up a tough fight, man. And that's why I tried to be fair here. He's going to put up a really tough fight against Khabib. I know it's a biased decision because I love Khabib so much, but I really do feel that Dustin's not the guy to solve the riddle of Khabib yet. I feel there's someone out there who will, but it's not Dustin. Khabib 66% versus 34% Poirier. The no doubt it for me, says Drunk. Buffalo Crayons, Tony, the type of guy to win by submission in a boxing match. Laughing my ass off, just put money on both fighters. Funny way of gambling. You know what? Moss put money on Poirier, so I can't do that. I can't put money on Khabib. Jesus will destroy Muhammad. That's horrible. Trent Gill says, I'm waiting for the 99th so I can be the 100th, son. One more like, says Flat. Guys, I have to interrupt the show for a minute.
I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes.
We've got 50 likes.
MMA-Holes 50 likes. I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes. We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes. I've got 50 likes. You've got 50 likes. We've got 50 likes. MMA-Holes 50 likes. The dislikes can choke on a dick.
That's right. Dislikes can choke on the dick. Best ever says she's drunk. Nah. Just pineapple juice tonight, guys. Just pineapple juice. But I'm having fun. All right, guys. That wraps it up for UFC 242. I gave you my picks. I gave you my briefing. Thank you for joining me on the fight briefing. One last thing before I go, I want to show you because some people are mentioning it. Mystic Moss, thank you to him, has decided that "Do It For Me" is such a good slogan. And everybody was saying it during the last show, right? Do it for me. And now in the MMA Holes store, if you go to the MMAHoles.com, link in the description below, there are Do It For Me t-shirts and tanks and sweaters. We still have the Hey Ladies, I Drink Pineapple Juice. So make sure you guys check out the MMAHoles.com over there. We also have a little community section where you can make your own account, hang out with your friends, add new friends, post shit on the wall, and do all that stuff. Oh, Jesus. What happened? All right. Thank you for joining me tonight, guys, on the first fight briefing of many. I'm excited to do these. I love breaking down the fights. Hopefully we can find a quicker way to do this. I'm excited to see UFC 242 this weekend. We will be live, and we'll be live again tomorrow, so make sure you guys join us there for Fuka Friday. Who's going to sing the next cringy song? Other than that, I don't really have many more announcements for you. Then, got a donation coming in, so I should wait for that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for giving me your picks. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this. And what do you think? Moss helped me do this. Super chat, Drunk Savage.
Great job, JBH.
Thank you, Drunk
Clinking
Savage.
beer mugs.
Clink. I don't have any more pineapple juice left. I kind of have some. Clink. Clink. Drunk. All right, guys. I will catch you guys tomorrow. We're live at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so set your clocks, set your reminders, set your alarms. And we'll be live for that. We'll be live for UFC 242 on Saturday, so join us then. Again, if you'd like to support the show, join us on Patreon with the link down in the description below. We're going to be moving a lot of this content over there, so make sure you're signed up. We got a lot of plans here. So anyways, with that being said, guys, don't be an a-hole. Be an MMA hole.